What's up guys, Card Protagonist here. Today, I'll be doing a deck profile on the ultimate Buddyfight deck from the brand new set Ultimate Unite. Without introduction, you guys have probably heard about this fearsome deck used by K. Now with the ability to guarantee kill with the OverGod 0, which completely freezes time, there's little to no outs to this deadly flag. And to top it off, Time Raiders have got a bunch of new cards that speed up the deck, making this combo extremely consistent. So without further ado, let's jump into the deck profile. For the body of the deck, we stick to the traditional Eon, which is most likely the first monster you ever caught in this deck profile. And right here, you'll see the brand new flag, which is the OverGod 0, which can only be activated after you flip all flags face down. And this card ability is extremely powerful. By discarding a copy of itself or discarding 6 and paying 6 gauge, you'll be able to stop time for the entire turn. So while time is stopped, every effect from the hand, grave, field, anywhere in the zone cannot be activated, which means basically there's no player interaction and you are pretty much guaranteed to win the game. The only way they can survive is they precast certain cards that reduces incoming damage or having more than 20 life before you pull off its ability. It's pretty ridiculous. I've played and fought this deck a couple of times and this deck is insane. Let's jump right into the win con with 3 copies of OverGod 0. This brand new card is crazy and it's a flag that has 12 critical. So the first line says you cannot choose this card as a starting flag, which makes sense. Activate ability, you may reversal an End Ruler Dragon, which is this big boy over here. So let me give you a demonstration. If you flip this big boy like this, you basically get the orb in the center, and that's what makes the full art, which is extremely beautiful. So you can flip it up, and this counts as an extra reversal. So if you have some cards like Omega, that it will trigger, and this is considered the 5th reversal of the deck. Really cool, because previously you can only reverse 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. But with this, it's considered a 5th reversal. So do take note. This card states, you may use time broken cards and this card is treated as a card on the field. It cannot be destroyed, leave the field area, its abilities cannot be nullified, it cannot be flipped face down, so that's anti-plague, and also can attack even if you have a monster in the center. So it's similar to End Ruler Dragon, which it cannot leave the field. However, it can still be rested by card effects. Its activate ability says, you may drop 6 cards and pay 6 gauge, or drop an OverGod 0 from your hand, so it's actually like a Persona Blast. If you do, for instance, reduce the defense of all your opponent cards on the field to 0, stop the time of opponent and all opponent cards. Your opponent cannot counter against this ability. This is insane because think about it. Once you go into OverGod 0, immediately activate its effect and Persona Blast. Once you do, your opponent cannot counter and yeah, there's no interaction. Basically, you're free to do anything. You can destroy their monsters easily with a single poke and then swing in for 12 damage. So in the comic, it does explain how Yuga actually won. And trust me, only certain cards can counter this. Without anime protagonist plot armor, you probably get wrecked by its effect anyways. So overall, I find 3 a really good number. Next, 3 copies of our buddy monster, Time Ruler Dragon. This guy turns out to be an angel in disguise. So, he's a Dragod, so it could be used in any world. Really interesting. And also, he has a core cost of paying 2 gauge and putting the top 2 cards of the deck into its soul. Win Chronos at the start of your turn. You may put cards from the drop zone into his card soul and you have 2 cards. So it's pretty interesting because whenever opponents try to destroy it or you pay for cost, during your turn you basically revert time. Really cool ability in my opinion. At the start of opponent's attack phase, nullify ability of 1 card of opponent's field and send it to the bottom of the deck. Really powerful ability because no matter how many soul guard you have, as long as your ability get nullified and get sent back to the bottom, so anti-destruction and anti-bounce doesn't protect against this monster of a card. A really powerful card that really sets back opponent. And because of this guy running rampant in the meta, anti-nullify is pretty much a must in most of decks nowadays. Pretty neat double attack and soul guard with 8/8 stats. Excellent, 3 copies. 1 check-in copy of the Troudek Time Ruler Dragon. I mostly use this card as a fodder for discarding for End Ruler Dragon. It's mostly used as a search fodder for my Sim Epitaph, which is one of the spells used to tutor out Time Ruler Dragon. So its ability is pretty similar. Instead of doing opponent's face, you can send back their cards. When its card attacks, nullify abilities of 1 card opponent's field and send it bottom deck. So it does have a little bit stronger removal. However, this ability is stopped by rest card, so the Secret Pack 1 sees more play. Next, 2 copy of Taylor Luna. One of the MVP of the deck. The reason why is because it gives you so much control and it's aggressive. So it is a cost of putting 2 time dragons from the drop zone and paying 3 gauge. There are lots of cards that reduces gauge cost, so that's no problem. So this guy is pretty much guaranteed size 0 with triple attack, penetrate, soul guard and counter attack. It's insane. When this card attacks or is destroyed, if you are flagged in reversal during this fight, destroy up to 1 card on opponent's field. If you are in End Ruler Dragon, which is a final form, put up to 1 card from your opponent's field to the bottom of their deck instead. So this kind of bypasses anti-destruction, anti-bounce. Really cool. So yeah, 2 copies of Taylor Luna because right now it's more about survivability. I kind of use him as a tech card or as a finisher when I go into the OverGod 0. So 2 copies is fine. Now time for the money card, which is 4 copy of Omega. So Omega is extremely wanted in this set due to the fact that it turbos the deck significantly. When your opponent attacks, change the target to the center Time Dragon. So whatever is in the center gets redirected, so this little guy can really protect itself. Its main and second ability, Preserve. When your flag is in reversal, look at the top 3 cards of the deck and put 1 into your hand, 1 to your gauge, and into the soul of 1 card on the field. So whenever I use these reversal skills, you get to plus with its ability. Most of my games I do use it 5 times, but in some certain unfavorable situations, you'll be using it 4 times. But nonetheless, you're still gaining huge pluses off this card. Amazing. And also, it's a little nice soul guard, so just in case you use ability, you can also target this card itself and give it soul guard, so it won't break so easily. A pretty nice card and an excellent addition to Time Dragons. 4 copies of Lange, the card that everyone fears, and the spell now just fly when you see this guy. So what Lange does is, whenever it's on the field, it reduces the cost of Time Dragons based on the number of reversal. So usually you just pay no gauge or 1 gauge at max to call your Time Dragons. White reversal, second ability. When the soul is put into your original size 3 Time Dragon, draw 2 cards. Really powerful. You could use this ability during your turn and your opponent's turn. So playing smart with this card definitely nets you lots of pluses. Do be careful of control cards though. Next, 3 copies of Spiga. Spiga is still an excellent card, which is a superhero time. So you may only call Spiga once per turn. Fair. When this card enters the field, look at the top 3 cards of the deck, put 1 of them into your hand and drop the rest. And if your flag is in reversal 2 times or more, put the rest into your gauge instead. So this card kind of speeds up the deck a little, so play 3 copies. Next, 3 copies of Time General. This card does give you a lot of control and life points. So counter ability, you can discard this card from your hand and gain 3 life. Its second counter ability, which activates in the drop zone. So while this card is in the drop zone, you can activate it. Choose a card on the opponent's field, you may destroy a monster on your field and put this card from your drop zone to your bottom of the deck if you do destroy the chosen card. Next, 3 copies of Octo. Extremely good card because it allows you to nullify opponent's monster at 1 gauge cost, and also it allows you to draw 1 card when you have 2 or more reversal, so basically making its ability kind of free. Very important right now because there's so many powerful monster effects. 1 copy of the Whirler's Time Scout Luke. When this card enters the field, put up to 1 OverGod 0 from your deck or drop zone into your hand. Its main ability is basically to search out your OverGod 0, which is your win con. When you go into your full flag turn, you must get into your OverGod 0 to win the game. And with this guy, it's very easy. The one problem about OverGod 0 is even though it does look like a monster, it isn't a monster. And times we need our OverGod 0, and they are mostly in the drop zone or in the deck. What I usually do is I use cards that tutor and salvage cards from the drop zone to pick this guy back up. Because of how speedy the deck is, your drop zone will be stacked with monsters and you'll be able to toolbox the monsters for any cards you need, which I'll be explaining later in spells. So with this guy, you'll be able to tutor back your OverGod 0 from the deck or your drop zone. Very, very important. And Luke is the only way you can pick up your OverGod 0s using drop zone retrieval spells, which is very important. I play 1 copy of him because usually I'll just leave him in the drop zone. Then later on when I need him, I just pick it back up with a salvage spell. So yeah, 1 copy is fine. Some people do play 2. 1 actually works for me. And finally, 1 copy of the ultimate creature at size 12. It is extremely powerful and it guarantees your win. The reason why I play 1 copy in the deck is because similar to Luke, this guy can be salvaged using spells, and during your final turn, you'll be able to pick up all the cards you need. And this card is very, very important because let's go through his ability first. So it's a core cost of paying 2 gauge and put the top 2 cards of the deck into your soul. If your flag is OverGod 0, this card size is reduced by 12. So it becomes a size 0. Insane change. So a huge monster like this definitely will have extremely powerful abilities, and you're right. When this card attacks, put all monsters of your opponent's field to the bottom of their deck. And people will think, okay, so it doesn't really matter if you have Soul Guard, right? Wrong. During the turn that you use this guy, most likely you'll be in OverGod 0. And all cards on the field is frozen. So even if they're 20 souls, this card just sends the card back to the bottom of the deck and the souls all go to the drop zone because time has been stopped, and this guy works extremely well with OverGod 0. So the reason why I choose to play this guy is because it not only wipes out the field, its second ability is at the end of the battle that this card attacks, if there are no monster opponent's field, deal 3 damage to your opponent. The main reason why I play this card is because of this ability. There are times that the opponent chooses to stack out lots of life points so they won't actually die, and this card guarantees their death still. Because think about this guy has quadruple attack, he has 2 criticals, so which means each swing will be 5 damage. So with Graph size 12, you'll be able to clear the board and deal 20 damage because you have 4 swings, each swing does 5. So even if they have 30 life, they are guaranteed to die, which is what I really like. And there are tons of spells in the deck that retrieves it from the drop zone. So similar to Luke, when I need him later on, I'll just pick him back and just call it and just wreck opponents. One copy works fine in the deck because due to the nature of this deck speed, you'll be dumping all stuff in the drop zone and you get the 2-box it later in the game. So one copy is fine. You don't want to play too many because it does clock up a little bit. However, this deck is so consistent, playing this 1 copy does not harm it. Now, let's go on to the spells. 4 copies of Chronos Almight. So this is one of my favorite spells. Love its art and its ability. So you can only cast this card once per turn. So look at the top 3 cards of the deck, put one of them into your hand and the rest into the gauge. And if 2 or more reverse, you gain 2 extra life as bonus. So this is basically a superhero time in the deck. So 4 copies is a must because it gives you extreme consistency. Next, 4 copies of Chronos Leech Movement. Another awesome card with awesome art. By paying 1 gauge, you get to draw 2 cards. If you are reversal 3, draw 3 cards. Pretty simple and straightforward. You can only cast card once per turn. 3 copies of the tutor spell, Chronos Sin Apitar. So this card is now very powerful because not only you search out your Eon, this card can search a couple of important cards in the deck. One of them being OverGod 0 because charge 1 gauge, then put up to 1 card with both Dragon and Time Dragon from your deck into your hand. It does not state monster like I initially did, and so you get to search out your flag, which is a Dragon and Time Dragon. Awesome. So not only you'll be able to search out your buddy monster, you'll be able to search out your OverGod 0 as a win con, and also one secret tag is you can actually search out one really silly card, which is Chronos Sin Finale. I do play 1 copy of it in the deck because of deck profile. You know, it looks super cool, and otherwise my thumbnail will be clickbait. So yeah, it does have the attribute Dragon and Time Dragon. Really cool because, oh my god, a search spell that searches out your boss monster and your finisher. Yeah, it does not state, once again, it does not state monsters, so you can actually search any card, impact cards as well. Some new cards on the booster, 3 copies of ES. ES, a pretty amazing spell. It's not once per turn. Counter ability, choose a card on the field for each reversal card on your field. So basically, if you reverse 2, you can select 2 cards on the field. And for this turn, those chosen cards cannot be destroyed or rested by opponents. Back then, we have a big problem of being rested. With this card, you prevent rest. Oh my goodness, this card does make Time Dragon super powerful and consistent, and basically allows you to finish the game for sure. And to boot, their abilities cannot be nullified and their souls cannot be dropped by opponent's card effect. So one single card allows you to get so much defensive ability. You wanna know what's worse? If you selected 2 or more cards, you get to draw cards. So basically this card is free, of course. Some decks do play 4, but I think 3 is fine by its own. Even though due to the fact that it's not once per turn, you can cast it for fun. But first turn, it's a pretty dead card. But during your second and third turn, you can defend your cards from destruction abilities, drawing you extra cards, being anti-rest. This card's insane practically, and it's one of the best rare cards in this deck. 2 copies of Magic Word spells, Chronos Panthearch. So yeah, pay 1 life, draw 1 card. If you're reversal 2 or more, draw additional card. So it's kind of like a nice one that pays life. Pretty nice. I dropped it to 2 copies because right now we want to make space for lots of new cards. And this card doesn't really work well if you're going first. Basically, if you're going first, you just pay 1 life to draw 1 card, which isn't really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of dropouts in the deck, so it doesn't really matter. So you could play 3, I guess, if you want to. 2 copies of Chronos Scene Exceed, a brand new card, and I really love his artwork. Basically, you see the Psychopath K over there, and you see the monster back behind. It's terrifying. When I saw the artwork, it gives me the chills. Lol. So yeah, there's a cast cost of dropping a soul from monster on the field and paying 1 gauge. So it's a counter ability. It has 3 abilities, which is perfect for every single situation. Let's go through them. So first ability, choose and stand 1 card over the field for each reversal card flag. If you have 2 reversal, you can choose and resend 2 cards. Second ability, choose and destroy 1 card opponent's field for each card a reversal. So it's actually a pretty cheap cost for its ability. And thirdly, it's a defensive ability. For this turn, damage done to you is reduced by 1 for each time your flag is reversal. So when you're reversal 3, your opponent tries to attack you, just cast this card and they practically can end their turn because each damage you take is reduced by 3. So yeah, it's an extremely versatile card. I really like it. Some decks do play 3. I play 2 because I want to explain some more cards in the deck profile. And yeah, you could play 2 to 3 depending on your budget, I guess. I do have 3 copies. 2 is just for the deck profile. 2 copies of classic Chronos Scene Blockend. Scene Blockend is still an extremely powerful card. But however, the second ability is not really used much because previously, even if you go to End Ruler Dragon, you do not guarantee win. But right now, if you go to End Ruler Dragon, your opponent's dead. Alright, so its most important ability is the first ability. If your opponent attacks 3 times or more, you can end the phase, which is really cool because it's basically the alteration. Next, 2 copies of Chronos Perior. one of the best defensive spells in the game. So the cast card of dropping a soul from a monster and paying 1 gauge. Choose a card on opponent's field for each time your flex has been reversal during this fight and rest those cards. And for this turn, those cards cannot stand. Its most important ability is actually its ability to prevent stand, which is huge because there's so many resending in the game right now. And that's why Chronos Superior playing at 2. You could play 3. I recommend 3. I just play 2 because of the deck profile. So yeah. I have 1 copy of Damuna, however, I highly recommend you to play 2 instead of 1. Damuna is an extremely good card because it does bypass a lot of anti-destruction, anti-bounce. So you can only cast this card if you have reversal, pretty much guaranteed. Card cost, putting a card from your hand back to the bottom of the deck. So it's kind of like a discard 1. Counter ability, choose a card opponent's field and send it back to the bottom of the deck. This is very important because there are certain cards that prevents nullify. So that your Time Ruler Eon can activate its ability to send back the entire monster and its soul back to the bottom of the deck. And there are some set spells that prevents nullify, and I will use Damuna to send back their set spell. And during the attack phase, I'll just send the entire creature back into the bottom of the deck. So yeah, Damuna is pretty cool. I would play 2 copies because it's a really quick play card. 2 copies of everyone's favorite spell, Chronos Reverse. Oh my god, Darkness Dragon World has a spell now. How ridiculous. Yeah, not only supports Time Dragons, Darkness Dragon World has spell now. Hooray. So you may only cast a card if your opponent has cast a spell. So at the cost of 2 gauge, you get to nullify the spell cast by opponents. Then if your flag is reversal 4 times or more, for this turn your opponent cannot cast spells with the same name of the nullified spell. So I guess it's pretty irrelevant. Its most important ability is just pay 2 gauge and nullify the spell. So basically it's an Abracadabra for Darkness Dragon World and Time Dragons. But what I really like about this card is favor text. I'll nullify that because you're boring. Damn, what a savage. This guy just roasts everyone. I swear every single card that has favor text is absolutely just to roast your opponents. Next, 2 copies of Chronos Quartzman. Remember these guys that are usually dropped into the drop zone? Once you go into your OverGod 0, you go to Chronos Quartzman and fetch them back to your hand and use them and destroy your opponent's life. If you have 2 or more reverse during this fight, charge 2 gauge. If you have 3 or more reverse, you gain 3 life. In addition to salvaging 1 monster from a drop zone, you get to get extra gauges and life. Really cool. 1 copy of Chronos Nady. So its cast cost is discarding 1 card and paying 1 gauge. Put up to 1 Time Dragon with different sizes from the drop zone for each flag in reversal. So during your OverGod raid, you'll be able to fetch back up to 5 cards. And let's see what we can get back with 1 single card. So most of the time I do pick up these cards. You have different sizes. We have size 12, we have size 3, 2 and 0. If you play 1, you can actually take it back, but I don't really play any 1s. At the cost of 1 single card, you can get to pick these cards back. Really cool because during your raid turn, you can use this and just pick all these cards back. And these are basically the cards that you need to just finish your opponent. You get to turbo more, you get to have extra beat stick, and have this guy to just entirely destroy your opponent's life. Lol. So yeah, 1 copy of Chronos Nady. It's good to have during your final turn because it does give you so much advantage, especially during your raid turn. So yeah, there's 1 copy of Chronos Nady. 1 copy of Chronos Sin Mobius. You may cast this card if it flags a reversal 4 or more times during this fight. So counter ability, return all cards from your hand, gauge and drop zone into your deck and shuffle it. Draw 6 cards and charge 2 gauge and your life becomes 10. A really cool ability because it really feels like time is reverted to its original state. So yeah, 1 copy because, you know, if you have it, you use it. Otherwise, you just pretty much just destroy them anyway. I really love the card art though. It looks so cool. And finally, the 1 copy of the Impact, Chronos Sin Finale. If there's one thing I really love about Time Dragons, it's definitely its artwork. So this searchable impact does 12 damage at a cost of 2 gauge. That is insane. So what I really like about this ability is it deals 1 damage to your opponent 12 times. If there's an anime, this scene definitely will look epic. Trust me, because if you do 12 times, it will show probably like, okay, your time is ticking, you have 12 life. And then I guess you got survive that by using some weird thingy. So yeah, Chronos Sin Finale, a really cool looking impact that's searchable. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on the Ultimate Time Dragons from the Climax Booster, Ultimate Unite. If you'd like to see more awesome Buddyfight deck profiles, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. And also comment down below on which deck profile you'd like to see next from Ultimate Unite. I do read them, so make sure you comment down below so that I'll get to work faster. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Peace out and love you guys. Rawr.